Yeah, I probably need to. I don't know if I've linked my YouTube, but yeah, I'll let you know.
What is up, beautiful people? It's Wolf Brother Mythos. And this guy.
What's up, everyone?
Yeah.
This is G the Hypersapien.
It is so good to have you back, my brother. It's been far too long. As Steve said.
It has. Normally, I'm just annoying you in the chat.
You mean keeping me company? Steve, who took my dice, says, "Have a great night, gents. We march for Macragge." Heck yeah!
You still want to know who took his dice.
You have a good night too, brother. Rest well. I know you got a lot of family stuff going on. So, tonight, we are continuing. Well, I'm going to march for Macragge by painting some Ultramarines. And Brother G here is going to WAAAAGH Macragge.
WAAAAGH for Macragge.
You know, I think I think my WAAAAGH's not too bad. But it's good to have a professional WAAAAGH on the show.
Yeah, my first one was a little bit weak. I didn't want to scare you, you know. I didn't want you to jump out of your seat.
Oh. Which you absolutely...
Or anyone listening with headphones, you know, if I don't want to burst some eardrums.
While he could, I don't think any of us would mind for the opportunity to hear a proper WAAAAGH. Uh-oh. All right.
All right, should we get a countdown? 1, 2. Cover your ears.
WAAAAGH. Who Took My Dice says, too
Yeah, I go
sexy.
louder when I'm on the battle.
Oh.
He must be looking in one of those two-way mirrors.
Oh, man.
Sipping tea like Kermit.
And I'm sipping coffee like an addict. So, tonight I will be painting some Heavy Intercessors. And I may even get around to doing some basing and some decals if I feel like fiddling around with, decals on stream. By the way, if anyone's listening, I think I set up the sound correctly, but I didn't know if there would be any overlap from layering in the Discord with my normal sound settings. So let me know how we're sounding, if there's any echo, any of that good stuff. I see I am peaking a little bit, so if I need to come down a little bit, just let me know. So, some of you have seen, I put out an update earlier for my March for Macragge, and I have my Heavy Intercessors about 80% done. And I have finished the first thing I vowed, which is my Invictor Tactical WAAAAGH suit. So, I think...
Very sexy.
Thank you. I know it's...
I love the basin.
I know it's silly to put a little well on there, but I was like, what fits in a meadow basing that's going to help me take up some of this space? And I was like, I think a well with some water effects is something you could find out a little meadow.
You're like, oh, well, what shall I use? And then when you said it out loud, you're like,
ding!
Oh, well.
An idea. So, yeah, I'm really pleased with the way that came out, actually. And so, yeah, now it's down to the infantry, the man and his infantry. So, like I said, all of my Gravis guys are getting close. The only one who hasn't really been started more than just a base coat is my librarian Tigerius here. But that's because it's been almost a week now, I think Monday, that I printed his arm. But I just got to catch a time where, maybe I'm awake, but my missus is, still asleep or something like that. Because I use the, like pure, like 99% alcohol to clean my parts with. Or no, maybe something like that. And the smell of the alcohol is too strong for her. So I've got to make sure it's a time that, I'm not offending her. We don't want to choke her out with any fumes. Like the alcohol smell doesn't bother me, but she's got a very, very good sense of smell. So it's a little more, she's oppressive for her. All right, I am let's see how badly I mess everything up if I block out the camera for a second while we go table down, or as Brother Rob from TMP likes to say, down to Table Town. I'm gonna mess it up. Watch.
Yeah, anyone watching, let us know what you've been working on, or if you haven't been working on hobby, what have you been doing lately?
Yeah.
We'd love to hear
Absolutely.
how you are and what you've been doing.
We always enjoy hearing what you got going on, what you got, as I like to say, for a poke chop.
Yeah, exactly. So while Mephos is doing that, I might just speak about what I've been doing. So I haven't worked on it probably this week, but I have been working on Off-Pack Blackhawk. I did do an unboxing on the Hypersapien. And also I've been working on my commandos. So I've been working on the Commando Knob, GGP. But I've been working on the Burner Boy as well. So the Burner Boy has a lovely helmet with an orc base on, well, you can have two different head options. And it looks like we have a bit of Ultramarines action here. Looks like it's working, but yeah, I've been working on my burner boy, so he has burnt skin, which is it has been interesting to do. I've never done burnt skin on
That's
an
pretty
orc,
cool.
and I've been working on the helmet. So if you want to see more pictures, if you want to check out my stuff, G the Hypersapien on Facebook and Instagram. I normally share my stuff mainly on Facebook. But tonight we're going to WAAAAGH for Macragge, as we said before. So I'm working on my war boss,
Okay, you
and
won't
he
really fit
has
on screen.
some blue armor.
Got mine too.
Oh, nice! You have an off-tapped Black Hawk as well. That is a lovely model. That is
It's
very
just
fun to
so
build and
cool and orky. I
paint
just
so
had to
far.
grab one.
Yeah, he's a great model. Yeah, I've sprayed. I want to do a bit of a video on it. It won't be like I'll try and sort of keep it as short as I can, but show you how I would paint Ultramarine armor, or AKA the Ultra Orc War Boss. So to save time, I did spray him with Macragge spray. But as I will say in the video, you can spray it white or black or whatever you want, and build up from an Ultramarines blue, or if you want to use Citadel colors, you can use then the Macragge blue, or
As
whatever blue you like. You can see that Mythos's blue here is a little bit more crispy and punchy, but I'll be doing the Games Workshop style, so most likely I'll be doing Kantar blue for the recesses and shading, Macragge blue for obviously the main armor. I will give it a quick shade first with Drakenhof Nightshade, the Citadel blue shade, and I'll probably be using Calgar for a bit of edge highlighting, but today I'll be working on the base. So far I've just got a base and a bit of cork that I'm trying to give him a bit of height, so I can build a bit of stuff around him so he's not flat to the ground. I do have a few little helmets and goals and whatnot here, and I will add a little bit of Geek Gaming. Shout out to Geek Gaming. Their base ready scrub lands, but I've kind of mixed a few of their base readies into one big box.
nice.
So I'll just be doing that as we're having a chat tonight.
Very, very cool. I've got a few steps I need on these guys. So you can see they have, they're pretty good ways to, towards being done. So I'm going to start with working on the basing. So I'm going to start doing some of the stonework with a few layers of gray. We start out with this, the darkest layer of gray. We'll put some pewter gray on. We'll go up to a lighter gray, and we might finish. Or we usually finish off with a very light dusting of white on top, and then we cover up all that hard work with a bunch of grass and some meadowy tufts and some flowers. So I
Do you
think
use pigments at all on your stuff?
I do, like on the meadow basing here, because I don't have them necessarily like it's a nice meadow. It's not necessarily like a dirty or muddy meadow. It's like very grassy, so I don't have a lot of dirt on them, although like I did use pigments on the war suit, because here you guys will be able to see I didn't bring the grass all the way up to the well. I made like a little area around the well where it looked like a path had been kind of worn around the well, where people would stand there and get their water out of the well. And so where I've made sure to
so it's just got some more wear and tear.
Yeah, and so I used some pigment there to have kind of some of the dirt coming up beyond the stonework. So depending on the size of the piece, I guess, is the answer there.
Yeah, definitely. With these smaller models, well, Space Marines aren't that small, but the 32mm base, you can't get that much on without it looking a bit messy.
Yeah, and also depending on what kind of basing you're doing.
When I'm basing my orcs,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, when I'm basing like just my orc boys, but I did try to add a bit to it, but they just kind of looked too cluttered.
Yeah.
So I just kind of kept it like a texture with a few tufts, kind of kept it easy. It looks nice for gaming pieces.
Yeah,
If I was going for like a display piece, I might do a little bit more to it.
sure. And if it's a display piece, you don't even necessarily, in most cases, have to worry about sticking to the right base size. I know a lot of people, when they go for a display piece, they'll
Yeah,
actually use a little bit of a bigger base where they can,
yeah,
add on some things to show off.
yeah, definitely.
Now, where did I put my fancy painting palette? So fancy. Ah, here it is. Those of you who have wondered about my fancy painting palette, it is this fancy piece here, this fancy palette. The brand of painting palette is Walmart Marketplace. It's the Lobster Bisque palette.
So you prefer a dry palette, right?
For the most part, unless I'm specifically looking to do specific techniques like wet blending and stuff like that.
More of a wet blend, yeah.
Because
Yeah, sure.
and I know this is.
Yeah, I mean, when I used to do it as a kid,
Go ahead.
like wet palettes and stuff wasn't around back then, so a lot of times we used to use a tile or like an old ceramic sort of plate
Oh
to
yeah.
put your paint on. These days I've got a dry palette, a wet palette, like I have a texture palette, one of those artist opus ones for dry brushing. I mean, you can just, kind of make a homemade one, but I just was buying artist opus stuff, so I thought I may as well grab that. And I do use it for my metallics as well, because I don't normally put them on a wet palette, so it's
And
really
it
nice
is
just to have that.
it is like a decadent thing. It's like you said, you can make one, but sometimes just having the bells and whistles is nice, right? Like, yeah, treat yourself once in a while.
Yeah,
I
that's it.
The funny thing is I own an Army Painter wet palette and an AK Interactive wet palette, and I don't know why,
Yeah,
but I feel like I just get much more enjoyment off of painting off of this soup lid than actually breaking out the wet palette. I don't know. I think it's just like it feels like a lot of faff when I'm messing with it, and I'm just like, I feel like I get decent results for results that I'm happy with the soup lid,
yeah.
Like I said, unless I'm specifically trying to do something like wet blending.
Kind of funny. It's one of those situations where it took me a while to get used to it, and I did just have a homemade one at first, just with like a Tupperware container or whatever. And yeah, it took a while to get used to it, and I did get myself an Army Painter one, which was okay. Then they sent me a prototype for the OTP terrain, but then I ended up back in their Kickstarter because I just thought, oh, they were nice enough to include me in the promotion. I may as well buy one, and they let you choose basically most of the colors, from black to green to blue, and you can choose different text to put your name on it. So I've got the bright green one with G the Hypersapien put on it, and that's the one I've been using since. But yeah, it definitely took me a while to get used to it, but now it's like when I stopped putting sugar in my tea, it took like 2 weeks for me to enjoy it again. But now if sugar's in my tea, I've got so used to it without. It's just like that with the wet palette. I'm so used to it now that it seems a little bit weird using a dry palette, like the drying you know, I'm not used to it drying quickly, and I go back to use it. I'm like, oh, it's dry now. Where if it was on the wet palette, it would last, you know, like a whole painting session.
Well, yeah. Maybe I'll have to break out the wet palettes again because it never hurts to last a little longer, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, instead, I wouldn't mind a wet palette in the bedroom, if you know what I mean. So, oh,
Oh, yeah. Speaking of Kickstarters, the Kickstarter for the Redbeard Boss Ghost Airbrush ended this past week. And I am looking forward to trying that airbrush. Now, granted,
so that's the guy that does ghost brushes, is that correct?
that's correct.
Yeah. I know I've been through conversations that I've listened to, you know, that you said.
And yeah, so
I've actually backed. You would have seen it, but Chronicle Cards is the company name. But they first did the Wolf Bristol brush set, and then they did a stable set a while later. So I ended up buying the Wolf brushes. Then I backed their Kickstarter that had the stable, and I did grab another box of Wolf bristles, and then they did a dry brush set themselves, which was kind of interesting.
very nice.
So they had awesome artwork as well. Like this
Yeah,
artwork for the dry brushes, they is tiger, so it looks like a tiger, like a sort of ninja sort of tiger. But yeah, they're a very cool company. And
yeah,
I am actually affiliated with it, but I just don't push my links much. But you know, they did ask me if I wanted to be an affiliate for them.
is the link to it, your affiliation program in your on your videos?
Yeah, it should be. I might not have actually added that, but I'm affiliated with Gap Games, a hobby store here as well. So with yeah, pretty much with the Chronicle cards, it's either Hypersapien as a code, but yeah, I need to sort of. I'm one of those people that try not to push my stuff, but then you know people aren't going to know about it if I don't mention it or push it. So
Yeah,
it's
that
just one of
helps.
those conundrums. Yeah. Because my last painting orc video, the skin is like up to about 13,000 views, which is pretty small for some YouTubers. You know, like there's people that do way bigger numbers, but I'm quite happy with that. That you know, it's being pushed and people are enjoying it enough to obviously keep that momentum, just to, you know, to keep that video going. I need to do a follow-up video. The last time when I did the fire noodle challenge on this channel, you know, I did that bright skin tone. I need to get around to doing a video of, you know, like a moot green, like a super bright and scorpion, bright, vibrant green. I don't normally paint like that myself these days, but I feel like, you know, I know yourself and other people like the very bright skin. So, you know, if I put out a video like that, it just might help people to
Necrotite
sort of
green.
know
That
how to
is
do that.
my orc skin tone of choice there.
Oh, nice. Yeah. See, I've been off tack prop. Sorry, I've been painting his skin more like the Games Workshop box art. So they use like Ogren camo. They used I used Elysian green, but also there's a Eternal Brush on YouTube. He's a ex heavy metal painter, heavy metal. But yeah, I've started mixing contrast with my normal paints just to give it a bit of a punch. But that's actually as well how they do it. I worked out how that's how they do it at Games Workshop. They mix. Well, I mixed Elysian green, which is a Citadel color, with a little bit of orc contrast, and then put it into the recesses, and then build up like the Elysian green on top of that. But yeah, it's a little bit different than how I normally do it, but it's coming out quite nice.
Nice. I know Spud uses the Elysian green as his main orc skin color too.
Yeah, yeah, it's sort of like it's a little bit punchy and green, but it's also quite a natural, like a green that you might find in sort of nature. It's sort of, yeah, I like those sort of greens these days. When I was younger, I used to like the really bright green, but as I've sort of just been painting orcs when I've got back into the hobby over the last few years, at first I was painting them bright, but then slowly, I don't know, maybe it was the bot side of Games Workshop that's a bit of an influence because they started going a little bit more natural looking as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, I like those those sort of foresty greens and that sort of stuff. But yeah, like when I get around to doing that video, I might do two different styles. I might do contrast and then just your normal standard base sort of layer paint because I do have Strike and Scorpion, which is quite bright for a contrast. And then if I use Moot Green, it's quite a similar colour. So I could try to show people who like both ways of painting.
That makes sense. Give the people options.
Yeah, that's it. But then when I'm not doing, like I did the painting video, the realistic orc skin, but I still experiment quite a bit when I've been doing these commandos. You saw the commando knob that you shared on Art of the Week. I've been doing the flamer guy as well, and I've been trying to get his skin to look very like he's been around fire way too long, and he does have some actual burnt skin up one of his arms and over one of his hands as well. So it's been a little bit challenging, but a little bit different to try to make the skin look like it's burnt. But because I add like human skin tones like red, purples, and fleshy Caucasian skin tones, it's yeah, I'm trying to incorporate some of that into it. Because I just feel like orcs, even though they've got green skin, I like the idea that they have red blood. I know sometimes people prefer the green blood situation, but I like the idea of red blood. You just instantly, if you see red as blood, you can like your brain kind of knows what it is straight away. If it was green stuff dripping out, it might take a while. Like, what is that? Like, what's that green stuff
Yeah,
coming
your
off
brain
him?
kind of
I just like
identifies
that
with it
idea.
when it sees something. It's that
Yeah,
familiarity that helps sell it, I guess.
yeah, exactly. So that's why I sort of in my it's. I'm pretty sure I've said this to you when I started adding red to my. Well, it was first red, and then I started adding more Caucasian, like the Acadian flesh tone and stuff. But the way it happened, I cut myself with a hobby knife, and sometimes you don't quite notice at first, and you're bleeding or whatever. And before I cleaned it up, well, I thought I cleaned it up, and then when I came back to an orc boy, like the next day or whatever, some of the blood happened to get into his bicep and into the recesses of his muscles. And I'm like, oh, that kind of looks cool. It like kind of makes a little bit realistic having some different colors in his skin. And then after that, that was when it was born, and I started adding first red shade or red in between the recesses, and then after a while, I thought, I can push that a bit more and make it a little bit more realistic than just red in the recesses. So I tried to add those colors to. A lot of people do it over the knuckles and stuff like that and ears. But, I try to add it in as much as I can without taking away from the green itself.
You get to pay the hell, child. Good to see you, brother. Thank you so much for coming by. I think you were working on that Rucka Truck Squig Buggy. When you did that, was that it? I think it was one of the boys from the Squig Buggy.
Uh, It was yeah. Oh, it was just an actual like one of the old orc boys
Oh,
is
okay.
what blood originally happened. But yeah, you know, definitely the rocket truck squig buggy, the orc boys, because I don't really feel like I've really shared. I've got like a squad of beast naggers boys that I need to finish off. They're basically done and based, and I'm based in the beast naggers in like a desert terrain setting or basin. And then with my other orcs, it's mainly sort of just like an industrial rubble, granite sort of basin. But yeah, I do have some orc boys and stuff. I probably haven't really taken because I haven't got around to taking decent pictures of them. So I haven't. I've only shared like little work in progress pictures. I need to, give them a photo shoot like any orc would deserve. Take some pictures of them and take pictures of their best angles, which for an orc is probably quite hard to find their best angle. So look that way. Oh God, you're even more ugly that way.
What you working on, Hellchild, my man? G is working on the basing for his March for Macragge work. And so he's saving the actual painting of the orc for video, which is cool. We're getting like a little sneak peek to an upcoming video. And I think we talked about this before, but go ahead.
Yeah, go for it, man. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think we talked about it before because people really like your painting style. So your how to paint videos tend to do really well.
So I did the axe hand, like he's got a double. Well, he's got both of his hands on a chopper or an axe. I did go and spray this. It is on separately, so if I do get around to painting, I can paint tonight the axe, and it's got two of his arms on it, or hands, or whatever. But yeah, the main orc itself, I'll leave to a painting video. But I'm just tearing apart bits of cork. It's basically just a chunky bit of cork board. Tearing apart to make sure it fits on the base, but also not tear apart too much. So he needs obviously it to stand on. I'm at a pretty good place. I do want to leave a little bit of a gap around the bottom so I can add obviously some basing material, but also I'd like to see if I can. I like my adding a skull or a. I do have a couple of Space Marine helmets that I might put on the base.
Hey, Thomas has sent, or Hellchild has sent pictures of his Ultramarine. Yeah, he's doing a great job. That's looking badass, brother.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, for anyone that does watch this and wonders, sort of, because I've only just been using cork more recently. But yeah, it's just, making sure. So I'm just tearing parts off, but I'm making sure that it has enough room for him to stand on without him sort of overlapping or looking like he's, about to tumble off there. I feel like I'm in a pretty good place where it's got enough room for him to stand on, but there's a little bit of a gap around from the cork to the actual base itself. So when it comes to this, I will super glue the cork onto it, and then I'll use PVA to put a bit of sand and texture or whatever on it.
That's awesome. I think I started using the cork pretty early in my hobby, but it has definitely gone from looking like just painted over cork to it's kind of evolved over the years. So Aha! My Nightbot finally kicked in. Look, I look like a pro YouTuber now. Alright, I'm going over to Art of the Week. Show off Brother Thomas's Ultramarine for anyone interested. He says it's at an ugly phase right now, but I think it's looking pretty damn cool. I love that you've added in some like bullet holes and stuff like that all over him. That's a cool step of weathering. Like, I've done some weathering, but actually carving into my model, I definitely haven't gotten to this stage yet. I see now why you were talking about the veteran sergeant helm with the white, the red and the white. Ahaha! Oh ho ho! Very cool, brother.
That's where he started painting it, has he?
Yeah, he's got his base color. He's got the base red and base blues down, and he's done the stripe on the sergeant's helmet, and he started weathering it up with some bullet holes and stuff like that. And it looks like he's gone in with some metallic
awesome.
and added chipping into some of the wounds and stuff like that. Oh man, that one over the Aquila there, or the wing skull, definitely looks like, you know, the armor saved his life there. Could have been a well-placed shot that exploded both hearts.
Sure.
Cool.
Looking very good, Hellchild. The model's looking alright as well.
Hey! Brother Steve from Who Took My Dice is working on his model right now. Awesome! Back to the guest chat. That is awesome, guys.
That's what my base looks like so far. Well, I've just glued it. Needs to obviously grind that, but
very nice.
A little bit of elevation for the guy. Just, you know, tearing it off around the edges, so it's a little bit rough, and then the part of the black base, we'll add a little bit of PVA, and then I'll add some sand and stuff like that.
I am a big fan of adding elevation to your special character pieces.
Yeah.
Sometimes
for my commandos, that's what I did on the commando knobs base. It's not finished, but yeah, you know, to make him so you can instantly kind of tell that he's the boss, even though, you know, he's the dude with the big claw and stuff like that. But yeah, just to help him stand out a bit more.
I always feel like when I'm playing too, that kind of stuff helps. Like, even though you're looking, you're looking for special equipment. Like when you get into the game, sometimes, like, you know, amongst a sea of green tide on your field, you know, having something like somebody stand an extra head and shoulders taller than everybody else really helps too. Like, you know, you're looking for a big ass power claw, but also everything looks kind of green on your table, you know.
Yeah, they all definitely all blend in when they're all standing together, you know.
Yeah.
So,
I really like this head here. It's a head printed out for me by V-Twin Gaming, and it's a come on, no, don't just zoom in on my hand. The dude in front of the hand. Come on, right here. And it's like definitely focusing on every crease in my hand. You could do a palm reading on me right now. You could be the FBI getting my fingerprints.
Yeah, you're on the system now. Yeah, that's a very nice head. It's like a lot of Space Marines, you know, like he kind of looks like he's a little bit of a, like he probably likes his imperial burgers when he's not at war. Like a little bit of a chunky dude.
Like Ron Swanson, you know. But yeah, I kind of dig that.
It was one of the things I noticed. What I noticed when we laid them all out, I'm like, that head's looking awesome.
Thank you. Super professional YouTuber here. I keep reaching over my light and casting shadows on my desk as I keep grabbing stuff.
Oh my god. You know how professional I am. I'm always, and then it stuffed up the lighting when I go close to the camera. It takes a while to fix itself.
I really love these night helmets I bought from Spellcrow, and I felt like they were chunky enough that they work both with the tactical armor, but also with the Gravis armor too. The only thing is that it is kind of blue on blue on blue, which I've broken up in some of my other units, but specifically with the Gravis armor, you know, when I look at pictures of the Heavy Intercessors, it is blue helmet on blue body, and so, you know, I thought about trying to do something to split it up, but I didn't want to take away from that, you know, especially since I'm already using a different helmet. I didn't want to take too much away from that Heavy Intercessor look, you know. Change the silhouette to, oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no, my smooth buttery blends. Apparently at some point, I must have had my finger, you know, some gold paint on my finger and touched the shoulder pad. All right.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've all been there.
Thankfully, I mean, not thankfully, but if it's got to be somewhere, it is on my highest highlight. So I may not need to do too much blending. Since it's in the brightest spot, maybe I can just take some really thin layers of my brightest blue. Just cover it up. Yeah, no, this isn't a real panicking moment, guys. This is me taking the time to show you guys on stream what happens if you F up something with a fingerprint. See, it's all fixable, guys.
Just to let everyone know, on he did this on purpose, just so he could show you how to fix a mistake.
Yeah.
It was
See, we're not panicking. We're just taking the thin layers and feathering it. And we're feathering. Ah, see? No gold splotch. Everything is fine. There was no need to panic. Not the smooth, buttery blends. Exactly, my love. I'm going to try oils and weathering powders. Nice. Mr. Fish. The alias you set this command to be, friends, does not exist. What? Oh. We're going to make it exist. Yep. Weathering with oils and powders are it's very satisfying. The only thing is I highly recommend a gloss coat before you start your oils, because you can absolutely, when you're removing your oils, accidentally remove too much. I always say, most of you know, your Wolf Brothers' biggest trait is just too much gene. A little more, a little more, a little more, effed it up.
You could be as bad as me and put a model to the side, like, oh, I can still work on it and then like never work on it again. Never finish it.
Okay, Nightbot, let's see if this fixes it. Friends. Anything? Everyone loves a little head done well. I mean, happy Friday. Whoa! Speaking of a little head done well, today is the 15th, so a day late. Happy late steak and BJ day, everyone. Gee, the Hypersapien, stop spamming. Spamming what?
It's like, stop spamming cats. I guess they don't like walks around us here.
Oh. Whoa!
I guess Nightbot is what, a servo skull
Yes.
cruising around. Like there's orcs around here. Keep it quiet.
Come on, Nightbots. My first time inviting you on. Gotta harass my friends? Come on, man. Be cool. Be cool.
Just for Nightbot, I'll do like a little whisper wah, like a little a mini wah. Like a snotlin wah.
The little tiny wah made it through.
It went unnoticed.
That's funny. So, the Tau are getting their codex soon. It's going on pre-order soon, I believe. And from just the few bits of news articles that I've seen through the week, it looks like they're going to be fairly strong. Pretty interesting. I mean, they often are pretty strong, right? They often are doing well, because even if they don't top the tournaments, especially on a casual level, they still do really well. Because when they don't do well at tournament, often it's because they still blow the enemy off the table, but they didn't score enough points, right? And so when you get to a more casual level, it's like, oh, at a casual level, if you blow your enemy off the table, you know, they can't really do anything. So I think playing at a tournament level, you know, gets people used to playing, you know, those points. But
yeah. And speaking of Tau, just for you, I'm putting a skull of a Tau on this base.
Thank you. You know, I one of the
actually I'm doing Space Marines as well.
One of the anime I enjoy is Cyberpunk Edge Runners, right? And one of my favorite characters in Edge Runners is a girl named Rebecca. And anyways, I was like, you know, I was talking about, we had I don't know if you guys have Arby's over there in Australia, but we had Arby's for dinner. The fast food.
I know what it is, but no, we don't have it.
Okay, well, we had Arby's for dinner, and anyways, I was telling my wife when we got back, man, there's just not enough salt in the fries tonight. Usually, their curly fries are nice and well seasoned, you know, but I was like, tonight, it's, you know, it's unusual because they didn't have enough salt. And she's like, well, you're gonna be talking about the Tau tonight anyways, so. There'll be plenty of salt.
Trust good old Lily too, put you in your place. Like, but dude, you're salty enough for the fries.
She keeps me honest.
Oh man. It's
Check
funny
out.
though, that's what I say when I do Funkin' Hungry a lot. It's like, some people like not much salt on their stuff. I'm like, yeah, I could do with a little bit more seasoning.
Yeah, I have noticed, and maybe it's my taste buds that have changed, but I have noticed that a lot of places are using less salt than they used to, at least in my opinion. And of course, that may just be my tastes have changed over the years. But all I have, when I was in the restaurant industry, heard that a lot of places are choosing to use less salt because, more people are being like health conscious now and stuff like that. And so they just like, people want more salt. They can put it on at the table, but you can't necessarily take it out,
Yeah. Maybe we're just a couple of salty gits that, like our salt.
That could be true. That could be true. Check out Solo Leveling episode 8 and 9, or 8 out of 9 drops tomorrow. Man, a lot of people have been recommending it to me, and I really want to watch it. I was waiting for it before it came out because they dropped a Solo Leveling music video. Or it might have been a fan made one, but the last year that I saw, and then I was like, oh wait, I still gotta wait like 3 months for it to come out. But I was really digging the music video, and so that got me hyped for the anime. But then once it came out, I was waiting for it to be dubbed, and then once it got dubbed, I really like for most or all of the series to be out before I start watching, so that way I can binge it, X Gear Commander, happy freaking Friday, my brother. But I actually don't have much salt for the Tau, and I'd like to say that's because I've grown as a person and a human being. But it's really just because I haven't made a lot of time to like watch any of the leaks and stuff that have come out so far, other than like the first little bit where you find out that Tau are not only still going to rock crisis suits, but they're going to get 3 different versions, so your opponent technically can run 9 units of crisis suits if they want to. And I'm just like, oh, that's lovely. Got so distracted talking about the Tau. Look at this. And I accidentally, while dry brushing, ran my brush through the wet blue paint. And now I've got to start over with the gray.
Damn, Tao, look what you did.
Damn it, Tao. It's not the Tau that's the problem, it's the Tau players. Oh man, I think it's still the army at fault when, of course, my trauma is back from 7th edition with triple Riptide wings that could blow you away in one turn. Oh, anyways, what I was saying about that, salt. Right after Lily teased me about being salty about the Tau on stream, I was like, very funny, haha. Then I got an email from Colts. Colts 3D is a website that sells, well, I say sells, but a lot of their stuff is free. Anyways, it was like one of the model makers that I like put out an STL of Rebecca the Great, and I was like, oh, she is a great character. She's a great marksman. She's a great companion in the game, in the series, because she ends up being the main character's best friend. And I'm like, she is great. And I was like, although this is from a 40K maker, I wonder why, they must be using like a a Rebecca as a stand-in for a character or something like that, because some of the model makers will do that. In fact, I think this one has made a character that looks like Ronnie from Elden Ring, one of the witches, to be a tech priest or a psyker, depending on what army you run in, like your Imperial armies. And so I've got a version of her as my tech priest in my Imperial Guard. Anyways, so I thought it would be one of those. Well, it technically is one of those things, but it was not what I was expecting. So I click on the file, and it's Rebecca, the character from Cyberpunk, but with one of those Y slits down where her nose should be. So it's a Tau version of Rebecca, and it says Rebecca of the greater good. And I'm like, no! Why have they turned Rebecca into a Tau? Damn you, Tau!
You've never been the same ever since.
Damn, yeah, I haven't been the same since like 7:30. Damn you, Tau! Yeah, I've got like one of my favorite things to collect anime wise is artwork, like especially like artwork from the series or from fan art. And I have a big artwork of the two main girls, Lucy and Rebecca. And yeah, my buddy has his third Riptide on order. Oh no! Coming to him soon, the filthy SOB. You may want to rethink the buddy part. I was like, why would they do this to Rebecca? Rebecca, no! So yeah, you can absolutely use Rebecca as a, what are their commanders? Farseers. Not Farseers. Farseers Eldar. What are they called? Ethereal. Rebecca the greater good. Darn you. Yep, I had one of my buddies in 7th edition do the whole triple Riptide. We used to call it the Triptide wing. Oh, man. And extra insult to injury. When he first bought the Triptide wing, and I say this jokingly and lovingly because all of us can't wait to play a new model as soon as we get it, right, in our hands. And so anyways, while we were at the store one day, he bought his second, he had already had one Riptide. And well, he had two Riptides. One was already built and ready to go. One was not built yet. And then he bought a third one while he was there at the store. And so he put the bases for all three on the table and ran all three Riptides and absolutely stomped my ass. Like, out of an 1,800 point game, because the points were what was considered a full size game at the time was 1,800 instead of 2,000. And he put his full army on the table, and out of 1,800, 900 of mine, or a little under 900 of mine points were annihilated first turn. So I was playing with half an army from turn one. Like, he went first and annihilated half my army. And I was like, and the worst thing is I felt some kind of way that part of what was kicking my ass was these two giant empty bases on the field. I'm like, there's not even a model there. Oh, man. I was like, how cheesy is this shit?
So,
A blank ass model just
so,
unloaded on me with like, 500 shots.
so when Games Workshop used to give you cardboard cutouts to save money.
See, I would be okay with that.
Just
A
go take,
cardboard cutout's fully painted.
yeah.
I don't really care about fully painted, but some of those cardboard cutouts look nice though on the table. Even though people joke about it, I think those cardboard cutouts actually, they look semi-official. Gamers with Coffee, they did an unboxing of a game where kind of like those cardboard cutouts used to be. This game they unboxed had like acrylic tokens. So they were like really, like nice acrylic tokens like you buy off Etsy and stuff like that. They were like clear acrylic, and then like an actual like really nice looking picture of the thing on the inside of this clear acrylic. And yeah, you had like rows and rows of like stuff. And I've seen not only like this was for a particular war game, but like I've seen D&D tables set up like that too. I don't know where you get the D&D acrylic tokens, but I mean I thought it looked pretty neat.
I remember being younger and playing like board games or various sort of RPG tabletop type games and have like your character as a well-drawn barbarian or whatever on a piece of card.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when you're a kid, I still enjoyed, I've always liked artwork and fantasy or even sci-fi stuff. But yeah, when I first saw Warhammer, a friend had orcs and goblins, and it was like the wyvern and other stuff was the cards. But because I liked the artwork and all that stuff, they still look really cool to me.
That's
It's just
awesome.
now I'm older, I can just like take the piss a bit. But as a kid, I was like, wow, this is awesome.
That's how I feel about things when, like same kind of vibe with like classic video games and stuff like that. People are like, oh my gosh, the graphics are so horrible. It's like, yeah, but at the time, that's all we had. We didn't know things would be better. So this was the best we'd ever seen at the time, prime example,
It is funny going, yeah.
People are talking about because Final Fantasy VII, the remake, is doing so well. A lot of people are going back and playing the original Final Fantasy VII. They're like, oh my god, these graphics are so horrible. It's like, but at the time, these were stellar and rocking.
Yeah, Tomb Raider with her triangle titties.
Oh yeah. That was some sexy geometry right there.
Yeah. But yeah, older, like the first PlayStation and stuff was, very sort of like Polygon, that Pokemon? But yeah, very square, boxy, and and sort of smooth edges. Like it's like you run your finger across a woman's chin and you hurt yourself because it's so sharp. But yeah, exactly. We still love that stuff. We played it, enjoyed it, and you kind of use your imagination a bit. You see the character and you kind of imagine what it would look like if it was a little less pixely, a little bit more smooth.
Yeah. Oh, Lara Croft. Although I have to say, I don't know.
We'll go back to it and
Say that again.
I was saying about Final Fantasy VII. People cringe at it now, but that was a brilliant game. It was like what four discs, wasn't it?
3. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a huge game. It the graphics were today's standards, but it was still such an awesome experience.
Oh, agreed. All right, fam, we've put down our 4 colors for our basing before we put on our grass. We're going to let this dry a bit. And we'll probably, let's see, I already put down my washes. We'll probably move on to doing some of the grass here in a minute, actually.
You've done a great job. It already went from, you know, flat and not looking like what it should, and now it looks like rubble and stuff.
Oh yeah, so I do very selective edge highlighting these days, and before I do that, I want to know how the framing of the model is going to be, because I feel like, you know, things look a bit flat until like you put the basing on, and sometimes that basing helps stuff pop, you know, and it determines on how much of the next step I want to do.
Nice.
I am going to
pretty much my base.
Very nice.
I'm raising my camera really pixely. But if we can, you know, we've got a bit of a Space Marine helmet. We've got some of the tactical gear. I put a shoulder, Space Marine shoulder, and then I put a skull, and obviously good old the Tau skull as well.
Of course.
And I've just been building up all the gaps with, you know, adding a little bits of block and dirt or stones that I've got in here, this container, just to fill up all those areas and make it look more realistic. And then I can pretty much spray it once it's dry and
I like how
working on the base, because
I like how when you do that, and something that makes your basing, I think, look a little better than mine when it comes to using the skulls, is that you do a really good job of incorporating your skulls into the base, and so they look like, you know, partially buried, like they've been there for a bit of time. And admittedly, I often do the skulls as like a finishing step, and so mine are kind of like often just sitting like on top of the sand, you know. Yours definitely looks more incorporated.
Yeah, so with the Space Marine helmet, because they have that sort of ball joint where their neck is, I was gonna, you know, use clippers or whatever and cut that off, but I'm like, if I stick it on and then just add dirt and stones and stuff around it, it will hide that bit of neck piece, so it will give it a bit of, you know, height as well, so I can build up around it and have sort of it sitting on top of all of the flock and sand and whatever else.
Good thinking. Gee, I'm going to take 2 seconds to refill my drink, and I will be right back, my brother. I'll leave them with your sultry voice for a second.
No worries at all. Yeah, give us a little bit of a hello, how are you, if you're, you know, in the chat. I said before, what are we working on? I know Hellchild shared his work and his Space Marine he's been working on. Is anyone else in the chat? Let us know. Mr. Fish, what are you working on? But yeah, if anyone's interested, I could do like a video of how I do bases. I do them differently, as I was talking before. I don't really, like, I've only started using cork recently, because as Mythos was saying, I was kind of a little bit like him, like I would use it, but it wasn't looking how I kind of wanted it to. But yeah, I'm quite happy with how this has come out. I am doing similar to the Commando Knob, but he's on a much smaller base, which I haven't kind of finished, so I've smashed this out since I've been on the stream. I was just tearing apart the cork, you know, just before I jumped on, but you know, it shows you how quick you can smash out a pretty nice looking base. Unless you have an army with very big bases like this, you know, as I was saying before, this is like a 32mm base, so there's not much room on the base to add stuff, and I just feel like if you add too much, it looks a little bit cluttered. Like, you want the model, you want the actual dude or do that, to be the main part of the model. You know, you want the person to be interested in the model. You do want to. You don't have to, as I've said before. Sometimes I just like putting a bit of texture paste on these smaller bases. Just yeah, with this one in particular, this burner boy, I want to kind of make his base look like it's burnt. I do have some flame tufts, so I'd probably add a little bit of that. So I'll add quite a flat bit of like base of material, texture, paint or sand or whatever. And I'll probably put a few flat of these flame tufts around it, so it kind of looks like a bit of a burnt environment and have some flames coming off it. Hopefully it works out, but you know, that's a part of the fun of this hobby. Trying stuff, being adventurous. You know, you have these ideas in your head. Sometimes when you put the idea into action, it doesn't quite come out how you want it to. But you know, it's a part of the experience, a part of the journey, and if it works out well, and you're impressed at what you've done, you'll obviously take those skills you've learned and continue it. And if it doesn't look how you want, you'll just I mean, when it's a base, and if you don't actually, I did stick this dude on it, my boss knob, because I'm doing a base like this. I haven't stuck him to the base. You know, like worst comes to worst, we can just rebase them if you really don't like it.
It's true.
Or as I say, you just learn from your mistakes. There's a part of the fun, even if you sort of stuff up, you learn from it. It's like, you know, the gold on the Ultramarine's shoulder pad before. It's like, sometimes it can stress us out, like, oh, we've worked so hard on it, and, you know, it's fucked up, but worst comes to worst, you can. Because a little inside story is this, when I was spraying, it was quite humid and I didn't realise. I sprayed the Ultramarine or the Macragge blue on this orc. It's maybe slightly sort of a little bit textured from the humidity, but not so bad. But on the axe, for some reason, the details really get covered up easy. So I had to actually strip this with paint stripper and start again, and that's why I sprayed it today black, because the Chaos Black is a lot more smooth. It goes on a lot more smooth than some of these coloured spray paints. But yeah, you know, it just goes to show you that I did have to strip this because it was a little bit like going over some of the details, covering some of the details, mainly on he's got a wrap around his chopper. So it's like, you know, like a material that he's wrapped around, and it was covering up some of that. And I'm a bit of a fussy git, so I just, you know, I could have probably worked with it, but I just stripped it because, you know, I want to do a video of it. I want to join in on the March for Macragge. So, yeah. So, you know, mistakes sometimes, if you have to, you can strip the model. It can be a little bit, you know, heartbreaking sometimes. You put in work and you have to strip it, but this is a part of the hobby. You know, there's all you can do is learn from your mistakes, and you can, you know, you can go and scrap it if you want. You can strip it, or you can, you know, throw the base away or rebase them if you have to. Or
I didn't realize that some of the colored primers that they do aren't as smooth as Chaos Black. It's good to know.
it's like, some people do like it, but their white scar now, which is their white spray, is very good compared to. It used to be Skull White back in the day, and then they had Corvus. I think it's Corvus. No, Corax White, and that's more of a greyish white, and that can be okay. But this white scar seems to be very smooth. I use it for Zenithal. You probably can't see it that well, but this orc.
Oh yeah, that's showing you pretty nice.
Black and has the Zenithal on him. So he, that's. I just sort of do a little light dusting of it, but I have as well used white scar, as in just priming it white.
Nice.
But yeah, for some reason, Chaos. A lot of people say when it comes to rattle cans that Chaos Black is very good. It's just yeah. I do find the colours the colours, you probably need to give the colours a bit more of a shake, or they just seem to go on a little less smooth.
I tried
But yeah, sometimes obviously
I tried a new black
yeah,
primer for my hardware store today, or not today, but this week, called Bear, but it's spelled Behr,
yeah,
and like it's very
yeah,
glossy black, which is fine. You know, if I want it matte, I can matte. Oh, I can matte it down with like a matte varnish. The only problem is
yeah,
that this brand, where like I use hardware primers all the time, but this particular brand, I don't know if it's this can, if I don't know if I didn't shake it up enough, but whatever it was, you know, it took like it took like at least 3 hours to really set, and I'm not used to primers having to take that long to set,
yeah.
and that was pretty crazy.
That's that's actually a good point. I feel like one plus with Chaos Black from Citadel, it does sort of cure or dry quite quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've been probably an hour or so. This has probably been about an hour and a half, and it's definitely good to go. But yeah, unless it's really sort of damp and wet weather, the Chaos Black seems to dry, and it's kind of good when it dries quite quickly, because then you can see that it's gone on, how you want it, gone on smooth. It hasn't gone on too chunky or whatever. So
I I was really surprised because I went out to go to the store, either the store or the bank, like a couple hours later. It was like 2 hours later, and I walked by. I had
yeah,
because it's usually pretty warm here in Texas, so I had the base sitting outside where I'd sprayed it, and I walked by it, and I'm like, it's 2 hours later, and this still
wow.
looks kind of wet, and so I did the genius thing and touched it, because I was like, it still looks wet,
Yeah,
and it left a little bit of a fingerprint, and I'm like, wow, it's still not cured after 2 hours, which just really blew my mind away. And thankfully, it's like a concrete kind of base, so a little fingerprint.
yeah,
I was able to do the old trick of wetting my finger and patting it mostly smooth again, but a little extra texture on concrete is not going to be that noticeable.
yeah. It is pretty crazy that you left it outside as well, because like you were saying, and it's like sometimes Australia can get quite cold, but most of the time, especially lately, it's been hot. So if you did leave it outside, it should be dry, within half an hour at most, really.
Right? Baked on at the Australian/Texas heat.
Yeah, that's it. So it coming back to it and it being a little bit like that is kind of crazy.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give it the more thorough go with like all of the rattle can tricks, making sure that the can is warmed up with a little warm
Yeah.
water and all that good stuff. I shook it quite a bit last time, but Cat, get out of my coffee. Cat, stop nuzzling Gillivan. Oh my goodness.
You can't blame the cat for, getting up close and personal with the old G man.
Oh my goodness. Oh, he's a hobby kitty and a coffee kitty. He has decided all painting must come to a stop, though. But yeah, so I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, the cat got me distracted.
You were just saying about the rattle can. It is true. Like sometimes I probably don't shake it, because you're meant to shake them, for a few minutes. And yeah, like you said, warm it up.
Oh yeah, and a
The
lot
only
of
reason really, the only reason I think this Macragge blue, the main reason it had a little bit of problem is just because it was quite humid. And lately in Australia, like the humidity just creeps up really quickly, and then so the weather's been a little bit crazy. But yeah, it's not too bad. I just was a little bit fussy with the hat, so I sprayed it black. Yeah, I'm actually quite happy with this base. It's going to be cool when I get to stick this dude on the base.
Yeah. And I'm going to look forward to that.
I kind of want to add a couple of flowers now, like just seeing your ones. I'm like, oh, I
I
think you'd be
really.
walking through it like, set music, like singing, singing his
Oh my goodness. My
for
ultra
Macragge.
my ultramarine and your war boss there could be doing the whole running through the field of flowers. Gee,
Yeah, towards each other.
Mythos. Gee, Mythos.
It'd be like one of those kung fu bad like dubbed movies when like they keep on kind of rewinding it back. It's like he gets a few steps closer and he's like Kung Pao into the fist. I'm coming, guys, I'm coming.
Oh man, that's funny. Sweet boy, can I do my basing now? Are you going to continue taking over? All right. We need the grass, and we need the tweezers. All this professional camera shaking tonight. Are you coming back up again?
I have a bit of blue tack here, and I was going to blue tack the orc to the base I just made so I can kind of work out the position. For some reason, there was a Tau skull wrapped around in the blue tack.
You know why.
It was very weird. Yeah, that's the favourite blue tack that I can I'd like to roll around in it.
Did you ever finish your commando knob?
No, I put him to the side because I was doing a base similar to this and I was working on it and I wanted to finish it. I didn't get around to finishing the base. But it kind of shows me how quick I can knock it out if I try. But yeah, I'm doing something a little bit similar to his base, which so I've added the cork to the base. I just need to trim it up and add little bits around it. So I started working on the flamer guy. I'm not sure if you have seen this one. He's probably not going to show that well on camera.
No, but I'm interested to see how the burned skin is coming out. That's cool. I like
So
the.
he's got like a walking faceplate, but I did add some flames on the top and the side myself. That's not sculpted.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
My lighting's not the best, but on this here I've just added a lot of purplish red tones.
Oh, that's cool.
I can if it's easier, I could just send you a couple of pictures I took taken of it?
Oh yeah, I'll just pop it up like we did for Thomas's.
Mm.
I know I'm like, showing you guys
And
how lazy my Ultramarines basing really is, but it's really just. I know static grass is meant to be all staticky and stuff, but yeah. What are you doing with my scissors? Yeah, they really just actually, like you saw, just spooge the super glue on and give it a grass bath.
as I was saying before, if it was like a display piece, you might be a little bit more pedantic and try stuff. But yeah, when it's just gaming pieces, you want it to look nice, but you don't want to spend forever on it.
Exactly. I know not everybody is a fan of, a fan of the term of, tabletop quality versus display quality, because some people think that you should push yourself with every piece, which is awesome, if growth is your goal. But sometimes you just want to put an army on the table, which I think either way.
Yeah, I know when I used to play, when I was younger, I used to, paint and enjoy painting with friends, but I wanted to, definitely play with them. So the old just base and then throw a wash on and a few other bits and pieces, and you're good to go, really.
Yeah. And I think either way, whichever way you find enjoyment is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I used to have a friend that I'd be going over his house a lot, so he used to have a pool table that we didn't really use, but we used to like add the terrain and the models on top of that.
Nice.
And have games on that. If it was very big games that was taking hours, sometimes like you could just leave your models where they are and you can just go and come back to it. Go have food and come back.
Since I'm a slow player, that seems to be like every time a friend of mine, me and a friend have a game, is kind of plan the meal in there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, a lot of times we would just go and cook something in his kitchen. I mean, I was still at school at the time, but he left school before he finished it, what was working. So he always had better models than me. Like he would have tanks and stuff because he would be able to afford it. That's one reason I have a bit of PTSD when it comes to Imperial Fist. Because he used to have yellow boys, and I had some Tau, I had some Orcs, I had all sorts of different stuff, but with Orcs I couldn't ever afford like killer cans and death threads and stuff like that, but he would have a dreadnought and a big tank and las cannons and stuff. Like he would just shoot me across the board before I even get to him. Like I try and use the trees and stuff for cover, but yeah.
It's funny because, like you mentioned, you still have those kind of feelings with Imperial Fist and stuff like that. And obviously, from my previous meetings, I still have those kind of feelings against the Tau and stuff like that. And I mean, they still do.
Yeah.
Like, that is still their MO, is to, blow stuff up before you get there,
Yeah.
And, win by wiping people off the board. However, I mean, not that I'm saying that I'm a great player or anything now by any stretch of the imagination, but I am a different player than I used to be, and I feel like I understand list building better than I used to. So, I don't know. Even though, they scare me, part of me is like, I kind of want to play against a Tau player at some point just to see what it feels like nowadays. If my current tactics, do any better against that kind of thing, or if I'll still get the same beatdown that I got.
Because you'll definitely come in with a different experience. You list building and different models, but obviously it comes down to dice roll and who goes first and stuff as well.
Oh yeah. And I think a lot of people end up, even good players end up in that space where, I almost always hear somebody or people have that one army that they have trouble getting past, like a blind spot for them.
Yeah.
So, for Freak, it was Necrons. For me, it's the Tau.
For me, it was Yellow Beakies.
For you, it's Yellow Beakies. And maybe that won't change.
I haven't actually had a game of because unless I play some Swiss, who knows? But I do know obviously like Space Marines are always going to be better than Orcs in certain ways. But it was interesting. I haven't played 10th, but I did play 9th, and I mean my brother was I played him mainly, and he was kind of going easy on me because he was explaining or helping me with rules. But I did find Death Guard was very hard, their Terminators to budge. But he has a demon army and they was very squishy, where the Orcs just seemed to smash through a lot of them. But he had a bit of a horde army and they seemed to take out like the normal sort of demons quite easily.
Oh yeah. Orcs definitely can smash through hordes pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm interested to play my Orcs.
Each striker or the Squeak Hog boys and the Squigosaur, they were very good because Orcs can be a little bit slow, but they had a lot of speed behind them as well, so they could charge in and mess up stuff pretty well.
Yeah, I'm interested to try the Beast Boys and Squig Hog Boys in 10th. I haven't played my Orcs yet, just because, painting whatever it is playing whatever it is I'm painting at the time, and being that I've been painting a lot of Ultra Beakies lately, and Beakies have been kind of my focus.
Well, you got usually into Guard as well for the end of the last edition as well.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to get back playing them, especially since, even with their points increase, I think Beast Boys and Squig Hog Boys still look really good right now.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've always liked Kroot, and I was going to get that army box, but I'm like, really, it's just going to be another box that I'll probably get and be hell hyped for, and then probably just put it to the side and not, really do much with. So I may as well just continue with my Orcs. So I've got a battle wagon that's built but not painted. I have a truck that I've worked on. I have another truck that I've built but haven't primed, just like the battle wagon. I have pretty much finished Gazgul, but he's just one of those models that I really want to keep on working on. So I get a little bit burnt out with the black armor for him, but overall I'm pretty happy with him, and I could still play him because he's a complete model. It's just it'll be a model that I probably will just keep on working on slowly until I'm happy with him. But yeah, I'd love to. I know he's not as good as he used to be just because of different rules changes, but yeah, I'd love to have just good old Gazzy on the board running around. Just seeing him and Macragge. Especially when I was painting him, I've known lore about him, but they haven't fleshed him out as much. But they had the Black Library book, and when I was painting him, I was listening to that as well. And I just
nice.
I've tried to get into Warhammer books. Like I was listening to the audio version, But I've tried to get into a few books and they've been okay, but for some reason I just really fell in love with that one. And it's got a lot of Macragge in that book as well. So it
Nice.
sort of explains how he is as a character. But he has a very cool origin story where he sort of was a bit of a loner. He came out, he basically was covered in snow when he was an orc boy, Gazgul, and he, hopefully it's not a spoiler for anyone, so cover your ears if it's a spoiler, but yeah, he was basically very weak, and he was able to have his strength to like rip his arm out of the snow, and sort of he just felt around and there was a squid nearby and he grabbed it and like just used its sustenance as like a little bit of a fuel, and he was able to get the strength to get out and pull himself out, and he found a Goth fortress is what he rocked up to, and he was just, yeah, you know, not what he is now. He was just an orc boy at the time, and yeah, they ended up letting him into the fortress, and just basically then from there he just did what all orcs do. He sort of listened to the war bosses, but always had this like vision of becoming what he is. And then it wasn't until he got that headshot that he started having like premonitions from Gork and Hawk when he had half of his face blown off.
That's awesome.
So yeah, he did obviously WAAAAGH with the Goth clan that he was with, and then as he become more as we know him as, he started interacting with Death Skulls and different clans. But yeah, this shows Macragge as well. Macragge is, because orcs, if they believe something so much, it can come to fruition. It can come to in reality. So Macragge, a lot of times, his consciousness, when he dies or whatever, his consciousness is just like, you know, floating around. It's there, but it can go back into the form of like another grot. So it kind of like his consciousness like can jump around if he dies and go into a different body.
Oh, really?
It kind of explains that story of it. Yeah. Because Gazgul stopped believing in himself for a while, and Macragge died, and then they sort of I think that's why they in like I think fifth edition they stopped, they didn't have Macragge for a little bit in the game and the rules and the lore, but it's because Gazgul stopped believing in himself as being the prophet, and people was wondering where Macragge was and why he wasn't around, and they stopped kind of believing in Gazgul as the prophet as well. But then when he finally, it was like he had depression or something, but when he finally got out of that slump, he kind of like just looked at the grot and Macragg's consciousness went into it, and like he became Macragge again. But yeah, a lot of the story is through Macragge. There's someone translate a book that actually translating Macragge's story about Gazgul to the humans. But yeah, it's just funny when he was saying like Macragge just is this banner waver, and there was one story of Gazgul like taking on these demons, and like Gazgul obviously just being an orc, just runs in and jumps and starts doing what he does. And Macragge being his banner waver has to follow him, so then he's just like, and it was low gravity, so they were kind of like floating around. And Macragge says that he just jumped into it and waved his banner and started floating around. There is a very cool story, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it made me like the character more, but also enjoyed painting it. You know, it was like seeing the character that I'm listening to come to life as I'm adding more and more color to him.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it was so it was definitely like one of my favorite experiences in the hobby for, you know, recently. Because that's what I actually want to do with Off-Tack Blackhawk. So I've listened to some of Brutal and Cunning. He's got the Big Dacker now, his second Black Library book. I've got them both on Audible, and I had painted a little bit of him, so I kind of want to do that again and experience that again. Even though so far the character's pretty cool, and again he's just listening to other people and kind of, you know, like under other people's wars at the moment, and there's a lot of mixture of clans. They basically go to this planet that's just full of loot at the moment. I won't spoil or go into it too much, but yeah, it does have Captain Badrock, as well. I was going to say Blood Claw, but that was the RTW pirate orc. But yeah, no, so that's why he has only has his skin kind of done, which isn't fully complete, and Prince gets his little squig, which I haven't came across in the story yet of how he got that and how he gets his squig. But yeah, that's definitely for me personally, it's a fun experience to build, excuse me, paint, and listen to stories, preferably about the character that you're working on. You know, it just feels like, to me, it connects me with the model and the character even more. And doing it separately, you know, it's a good way because painting and building, you're doing that, so you're already there and you're already sitting at your desk or whatever. So playing a little bit of a story in the background is perfect to have to help you stay in the mood. But yeah, it definitely makes me feel connected to some of these characters more. You know, you're like staring at the model when you're staring at the character as you're listening to it.
Similarly for my guard,
really sort of, yeah.
Similarly for my guard, I wanted the Gaunt's Ghost characters because I listened to, I think, all 16 of their books. I might have that number wrong, but I really enjoyed them. And for Christmas, Lily picked me up the actual, box set of the Gaunt's Ghost units. And now when I go back and paint them, I want to do the same thing. I want to re-listen to the books. Or, well, obviously it's not going to take, well, hopefully it should take me 16 books to to finish them. But yeah, I want to start listening to the books again while I'm doing it to try and immerse myself, while I'm painting these characters. I feel like it'll be better to do that anyways because, as is normal for a book as long, or a series as long as 16 books, some of the characters die off before you get to the end, and obviously you want to, or I would like to, paint and pay tribute to these characters while they're still alive,
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I know some people prefer like Gazskull or this new, Black Hawk model, but I'm just going to paint him as a Bad Moon. It's just like, some models might chop and change. But yeah, especially when there's books and lore behind them, I feel like, paint them how I'll have my own little spin of it. I'll have my own painting style with the same sort of colors. But yeah, I kind of want to listen to his story as well and see how he becomes his own war boss. And then any little references that they might say of, why his armor is yellow or how he got to that point, it would be really, really cool.
Agreed. And I mean, I suppose for those of us, you and I who want to enjoy the character for their part in the story, I can see where, that would really benefit like us. But I can also understand people who are like, this is a cool model, so I want to paint it in my color scheme, or this is a cool these are cool parts, I want to use it in a conversion. I can understand both ways, but definitely as someone who is very story driven like myself and like you are, I feel like that's definitely a really enjoyable part.
Right. Well, some of my favorite video games, it's like and even films, I guess, but it's like we spoke about Final Fantasy before, which is a huge, like 30 to 50-hour game. You get really into the characters, and I really like Halo, and we spoke about Halo before, how back when we used to do LANs, and everyone would connect their consoles or PCs together, and you'd do a big LAN. So there's a lot of social interaction, sort of nostalgia involved, but also me going from Halo 1 and really following Master Chief and some of the other characters that are involved.
Oh yeah.
You really grow attached to those characters. So if I ever got like a model of a Spartan, it probably would be the military green color.
Right.
There's a lot of different. I used to use either purple or red as my start them if I played multiplayer. But yeah, just the Master Chief, the story, the voice. There's just so much to that character
Oh yeah,
and to the Halo universe as a whole.
I agree. There's an Imperial Guard character who looks like the spitting image of one of gosh, I can't remember his rank, but one of Master Chief's friends. Anyways, there's an Imperial.
Okay.
Huh?
I said, yeah, okay, yeah.
But yeah, there's an Imperial Guard character that looks just like him, and I'm just like, like part of me. It's one of those limited edition Black Library models, though, so that's not in production anymore. So.
You mean the black fella, the black
Yeah.
dude who's Johnson, I think his name was Sergeant
Yeah,
Johnson
there
or
you go.
something. He also looks like the guy from Predator as well.
Yeah.
A little bit. You can see they've sort of taken that influence. But yeah, that's actually a really good model. I should have got that when it came out because it's like 100, 200 or something now. Ridiculous. If you
Yeah.
can find it.
I wasn't.
Yeah,
I wasn't
model
into
is,
Guard at the time,
pretty
now,
good.
but now I'm like, I wish I was. I'm like, oh
Yeah,
man,
no, that's a really good model.
I could have had Johnson.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an awesome model. I really, as soon as it came out, you can kind of see the influences of different pop culture they used on that model for sure. It was, definitely a spitting image of them, though.
For sure.
Yeah, because when I got my laptop, it wasn't like it was a couple of Decembers ago now. It wasn't the one that just went. I haven't done much gaming on it, but I played Dawn of War, and it really made me like the Guard again. Like the story and just building up from just having a few troops to then getting the tanks and stuff. And just I really like those sort of games, those strategy type games where you obviously have to build a slow grow, build a base. Kind of like you're collecting an army in a way, but in a video game form. Like you have to go from obviously normally one commander or character and then a few units, and then you get the really cool stuff.
Yeah, I just picked up. They brought the Command and Conquer bundle over to Steam, and the Red Alert games are some of my favorite strategy games, and so I definitely picked that up specifically.
Yeah,
like I'm excited to play Red Alert 3, but specifically Red Alert 2 is like where I have a lot of fond memories. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, definitely. I used to like the voice acting in that and stuff as well, where it had like the two different armies. I forget what they were called, but you have the evil dudes and the good dudes.
Yeah.
Because Red Alert isn't that when you play the evil side more?
There are options for both, but I always like playing as the good guys. The Allied forces. I can't wait to get to Tim Curry in 3 though. I must go to the one place that's been yet uncorrupted by capitalism. Spice. Tim Curry.
Oh, they're such good games. Yeah, I haven't played them since a kid, but so many hours sitting in front of a PC just playing them. I really like Warcraft as well, like the actual strategy game. Me and a friend who used to have a couple of PCs, and we used to always verse each other, and it just got to the point that it'd pretty much be a stalemate. But then most of the time it was me. Like we've been going for too long, so I just ended my army. But we used to have the turrets and stuff, like the archer towers, covering like half of the map. So as soon as you enter into one side or the other, you just got this like just wall of just these towers that will pretty much take you down. And it was just I really got into Halo Wars as well, as I've mentioned before. I used to, a person I had was in a relationship with. She used to like it as well. I bought the games for her because she, mucked around on mine, and we were just. She was pretty damn good at it as well. But yeah, we used to play them, and I do like the campaigns in a lot of those games as well.
Oh yeah, in
Playing the
fact
campaign
I
and
tend to,
the story itself.
maybe because I'm not very good at games. I tend to like the campaign mode versus the PvP stuff more often. Gamers with coffee.
Yeah,
Sorry.
With Halo, I was in the chat.
Oh, I was just saying, gamers with
Here we
coffee.
are
Good to
talking
see you.
about games.
There's a chat going on here. No.
Hey, Greg, how are you there?
You're not late, my friend.
Oh, those blue rims.
Are those blue
You
rims?
rocked up.
Temporarily.
Uh,
It's just from my airbrush, but they're about to be black rims.
they are called Gamers with Coffee, and we were talking about games, and all of a sudden he appeared.
Yeah, you're not late. We're just talking about some gaming nostalgia. It's funny because we started with like tabletop gaming nostalgia, talking about things that we like thematically, like uh, Macragge and Gaunt's Ghosts and stuff like that, and then we kind of meandered over to video game nostalgia.
Well, the strategy games, they very, as I sort of said before, they very much are like a tabletop game. Like they're probably the closest game, obviously, to feel like you build up your army and then you send it into the other army, and you have to put resources, which you could look at as, in Warhammer, how you have you try to get the points and stuff.
Oh yeah, like
It does
capturing
have
objectives and stuff.
Quite a, yeah. Like a lot of those games have where you can take over a building, and then you can leave some troops, or you can just leave altogether, and then your opposition can go and take that point over, or take that building and collect the resources for themselves. So it sort of puts you in that headspace of, you taking on an army, but also you have to you have to work on your strategy, you have to work on your resources. And I mean, especially Dawn of War, I mean, it's basically, like Command and Conquer with Warhammer skins on top. But it is funny, I was playing Winter Assault Dawn of War. Because I played that's like a DLC. But because I was playing the original, you couldn't play as Chaos and Orcs. But because I got so into Guard and Space Marines, I actually chose to do the good side, or the human side, instead of Chaos and Orcs, where normally, when I was younger, I'd most likely pick Orcs. Yeah, the story of the Guard was very cool in that.
That's awesome. I need to check that out.
Just and just taking on Chaos. Yeah, I need to go back and buy like Dawn of War 2, and because you're Blood Ravens in Dawn of War, and then your Ultramarines in the DLC.
Mm-hmm.
Well, most of the time you're Guard, and then just the Ultramarines rock up and just you just start following them. There's like one mission where you're the Guard and you're taking on Orcs, and they just have all these different strongholds, and yeah, you just kind of the Space Marines just keep them going forward, but you do have to help them out. If you don't sort of build quick enough, the Ultramarines will eventually die. But you need to give them that backup. But yeah, the Ultramarines are just cruising around, and you're the Guard. And you have to be the one to keep them building bases as you get to a new area. You quickly go in, build your base, and obviously they keep on having Chaos or Orcs coming to try to stop you from doing that. I did play a bit of Total War as well, which is Warhammer Fantasy.
I hear that's pretty
But
good,
it's, I just
but not for
it
someone
is
who
good,
doesn't have
and
a
I
ton of
know a
time.
lot of people. Well, I feel like it's good, and a lot of people do really enjoy it. But I don't know. I used to like it, but this day and age, I don't like the rank and file as much.
Okay.
You know, like you. So in Dawn of War, you can have one small squad of say like 5 people or whatever, and then when you build another squad, and you build like say another 5 or more people, then you can send them in different directions and stuff if you want. You know,
Oh
it's a bit
yeah.
of a different style game anyway, Total War, but Total War is very much like fantasy, where it's all rank and file, and you have one big blob of people, and then you have a few different ones. It is a different type of game. It was fun, but yeah, Dawn of War is definitely more my cup of tea. But I did
What?
like in fantasy. It was Kislev in the campaign, which they follow like a god, which is like a polar bear, which is kind of cool or interesting.
So Halo Wars is on the Steam
Is
sale for $5 right now, $4.99.
that Halo Wars 1 and 2? Or
It looks like just one. Halo Wars the Definitive Edition. I don't see Halo Wars 2 on Steam. Interesting. That's pretty
I mean,
interesting.
Halo Wars 2 is obviously they've worked on the mechanics and different stuff. But yeah, for that price, I would definitely recommend to go from there and then play it, see if you enjoy it, and then grab the second one. The second one is it's more the Marine, this guy called Forge in the first one, and then it's more Spartans and stuff in the second one. But it is Forge has a few Spartans that work with him. But yeah, it's a very cool story. The campaign are very much the Forge is a character, but he's in a warthog as well. So you like cruise around really fast in a warthog. He's like got one of those Gauss cannons on the back, so instead of just like a machine gun, it's like a huge blast of like plasma or whatever.
That's cool.
But yeah, $5. I mean, you can't go wrong. You'll get. I'm sure you'll like it if you like Command and Conquer and stuff like that, and yeah, you'll definitely get your money's worth for $5 for the definitive edition as well with all the bells and whistles.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to check that out for sure.
Game is with Coffee saying Ashley's been playing a lot of Mario Kart lately.
Oh man, I
You
have
can't
so
go
many.
wrong with Mario Kart.
Yeah, I have so many fond memories of Mario Kart.
Yeah, that's Gamers with Coffee saying about the Mantic tabletop Halo game. That like I love Star Wars and Marvel and stuff, but for some reason that Halo one is very like piqued my interest a lot, and maybe that's because I played Halo Wars. So in a way, I wonder if that tabletop is going to play a little bit like that, or at least I'll take my memories from Halo Wars and sort of how we were saying before. Sometimes playing Warhammer and stuff, you like it because of other games, video games, or whatever you may have played in the past.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Mantic game too. Love Halo and Halo Wars. Supposed to be a long Warhammer style of gaming. Very cool. Yeah, definitely seems like pretty skirmishy, so it'll be more like Kill Team, I think. But yeah, I'm excited to see what it's like. Just giving it a
Yeah,
minute for my rims to dry.
Oh man, you've done. Here I am just like talking and just playing around with my bass. You actually done done stuff to yours, not just fiddle around with it. Oh man, they're looking super good now with the rim painted black and really sort of like helps set off the bass more.
Thank
And then
you.
a little bit of like custom flowers.
Yeah, I think they look more like framed, I guess is the right word.
Yeah,
Like they've
like
got a.
you were saying as well about like the blue might be too much, and I feel like now you've done the base and the black rim. I don't know, it really just the whole model is set off now. Like it's just yeah, I feel like the blue really works now with just the base having the flowers and tufts and stuff.
Thank you.
Visually pleasing to the eye, I'm sure.
Now I just want to figure out what I want to do to make these helmets pop more, because, like, you know, the eye is drawn to faces, right? And like it's almost hard to distinguish where the head starts and where, you know, like this big gorget around his head, like kind of like swallows his head a little bit, you know. Like if I
Do
guess
you normally paint your visors, the lenses, any color?
yeah, I usually do the visors green, which get real close you can see, but they're very smacking the camera around. They're very skinny visors.
Yeah. Oh yeah, now I can see it more, yeah.
If I
Maybe put a bit more green in there. What green did you use?
it's a fluorescent green from Golden. It's a very very bright green. It's just, first of all, I think it's just the part of it's the camera angle and the lighting. But yeah, but also like his head is kind of swallowed up in there. I'll have to give it some thought.
Yeah, that's why I sent you the pictures of the orc, because just there on camera.
Oh right.
I'd need to turn on more light in it. Yeah, I mean, where I'm sitting, I can see it like fine, but then just yeah, my web camera isn't the best as well.
There we go. And now we'll switch it over here. Oh, look at that beautimus. I see now what you were saying about the reddish purple tones where the burnt flesh would be. Ooh, I like that a lot. Almost gives me like you know, like Ryan Reynolds kind of vibes in Deadpool, where he's got all the, you know, inflamed skin from his injuries, but also his cancer.
Yeah.
You know, that's so cool.
Yeah, the helmet does have a bit of sculpted flame on it, but I just ended up adding to the left and right cheek flame, and
And
it's like a orc skull on top, but I've added like the flame going up more. So
I can tell.
I didn't know how to do the helmet at first, and I wanted it to look like a welding helmet, but then I'm just like, yeah, it needs a little bit more character to it, so I'll do it yellow and add more flames to it.
Bro, you really pulled off that freehand. It looks good. If there are any fellow weebs,
yellow could be a little bit.
If there are any fellow weebs in chat, like Brother Thomas, I know. Check this out. The way the purple and reddish mottled skin here is reminds me of Deku's arms when his super strength used to destroy his arms. What do you think? That's what it really reminds me. Fellow weebs, fellow anime lovers. Yeah, that mottled skin really reminds me of the way Deku's super strength used to just destroy his arms.
Yeah, and with his base as well, I was saying that like a little bit before. I want to do it kind of like just looking like it's dirt, but I have some flame tufts, but I haven't really used that many, so it's just like a tuft that's like red with yellow and stuff. I want to put a couple of them on it to really try to, show that he's a flamer. I have been working on his gun as well. So his gun is being worked on as well. So I've got his hand, one hand he has a glove on, and for some reason his other hand he has it without a glove on, and it has burn. It's the opposite side where the burns on his arm is. So his hand on the opposite side has all this burnt skin as well. And I have been working on the little flame part as well. I've just been doing it yellow, adding some orange tones into it and stuff as well. So because the reason I kept it off is because it's hard to get to his body otherwise.
I mean, that makes sense.
But I'm getting close to being able to get to the point where I can glue it on, and then it will really you kind of see it here. I've just
Oh yeah, that's looking real good.
Just sort of balancing it on him. So
it's funny because, like, you mentioned you were struggling with your lighting for a lot of this, but actually when you did that,
yeah,
the flame stood out really nicely.
Yeah, so he's got the flames, but also he's got like a little, like a welder has like the blue flame. He has one of them.
A pilot light
under on his gun. So so I'll have to do that sort of blue and a whitish color, and then I'll do which I've been working on the flames, and the flames are kind of coming out of the gun. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting model, and loving them so far. So I've been just working on. I've just been kind of choosing the ones that I like the most, but a lot of the models are cool. You've got the bomb squig, you've got the grot, the little grapple grot, but yeah, I loved the knob. The knob is a little bit similar to, like you were saying, with the Imperial Guards, that has that jungle theme that looks like the Halo guy. The Orc knob's a little bit like that because he has the military hat. It's the vest, the military vest that has his arms showing. Yeah, I always liked this Flamer guy as well. He's a very cool model.
That's awesome. Yeah, your flames actually look really good, even though you've been struggling with your light.
Yeah, really like that one.
That's so good, brother.
Going to definitely be satisfying when I glue that part on. Yeah, there's definitely been some fun models to work on as I'm just just slowly working on them when I've got some time. It's definitely going to be fun to do this Ultra Orc though. He has sculpted on checkers. So I know some old Ultramarines used to have checkers on some of their armor as well. So
in fact,
do that sort of white and blue or whatever.
The new Terminators that they have been like on the GW art have the blue and white checkers as well.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool that it's sculpted on. It saves me having to freehand it, which I have done. I did it on like Gazskull and stuff, but yeah, that's one reason I picked this orc, because he's heavily armored to the point where you can only see just a little bit of his face. But he has a backpack like Ultra or like Space Marines have, like like a back, and then he has all the sculpted checkers and stuff. I'm like, yeah, it could definitely make this look like an ultramarine.
Yeah, I was kind
I
of.
did actually take some spikes off his shoulder pad. He had some spikes. I'd actually flattened it down because I'm thinking I might put an ultramarine decal on that
That's
as
cool.
well. So
I was looking at the sculpt a little bit when I
I
was
had one on the base. Yeah, when you was doing
the thumbnail.
the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Artel has some really cool orcs. Maybe some super good models. Yeah, this has turned out to be a pretty fun project. I'll later on spray this base black, start working on that, and yeah.
I think before bed, I still need to wash the golds. Like, I've already done the ones on the shoulder pads because I had to do those already, but I still need to wash, like, all the Aquila here, the belt buckles, all that good stuff. Especially because, like, you know, whereas before it was easy to wash the shoulder pads because, you know, you've got the grooves where the shoulder pad kind of meets the trim. So those were easy to do washes on.
Yeah.
But, like, trying to get in here behind the guns and stuff like that, like, there's enough of it showing that it'll be noticeable if I don't, especially on, like, the heavy bolter guy. His chest puffed out. Yeah, if I don't go in there and do some washes on some of these parts where, like, you can see where there's some of the separation on the feathers of the Aquila. Or the Aquila.
Yeah.
You know, if I don't wash that, it'll just look flat and kind of obvious. But I'll probably wash those.
What's your go-to wash color for your gold?
Lately, I don't have a consistent one. I kind of do whatever I'm feeling at that time. So it's sometimes it's the Agrax, sometimes it's sepia. Here lately, it has been soft tone from the Army Painter. Boop.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, because if it's the sepia, it gives it that warm gold. Obviously, you can make it look a little bit more grimy or grim dark with like an Agrax.
Yeah.
So you can even go with black. Or sometimes even purple can work because purple is a complementary color to yellows and oranges.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, like gold is in that sort of spectrum, or sort of, you know, like a warm sort of orangey color.
Or if I want to add,
you can use the color wheel to.
or if I want to keep it in a yellow, like I want to keep it a bright gold, but I want to add some depth. I'll use some of the contrast yellows, like so like not the newer ones, but like the Yandin yellow and the Nasdrag yellow. I really like the Nasdrag yellow because it keeps that yellowy tone, so it doesn't look dirty, and it doesn't look too warm like a bronzed gold. But it definitely adds in the recesses those shadows that, you know, kind of keeps it in the yellow spectrum.
I feel like that's perfect for. I feel like it's perfect for ultramarines as well. I just feel like they have, like, normally they're depicted with quite a yellow gold, quite a, you know, warm color in their golds.
Oh, you were mentioning the ultramarines with the blue and white checkers. He said Ashley painted them by hand and then found the decal. Oh man. I know that feeling. Ah, god dang it, I could have done it an easier way all along. That's funny. Well, we are coming up to the 11 o'clock hour. I'm going to go back to the face cam because I know people want to see my face, you know. It's the money maker of the channel, you know.
That's it. They've had to see my ugly face this whole time. I'm going to get the ray of beauty.
You talked about your face was the ray of beauty. Yeah, I have to, when I do this show every once in a while, I have to bring on some eye candy for people to see, because they're just stuck with me all the time.
Mm.
That is the point of having guests, yes? We make it the eye candy. Hey!
And that time flew by though, but I'm super happy with the base. He's like ready to go now.
Oh yeah, he looks
He's
good on that
ready,
base. Like as far as
He does
positioning
look a
goes.
bit armless though. Armless. Mm-mm.
I'm not worried about him. He's armless.
That's it.
He's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me, G, my man. It has been a blast hanging and hanging out with you. I know sometimes we just, we got to chatting and almost, forgot that the chat was there just because, two friends catching up.
Yeah, no, it was brilliant.
I always enjoy hanging with you, my brother. Thank you for everyone who joined, including Gamers with Coffee, Hellworks, Nightbot. Thank you for jumping in, Nightbot. Mr. Fish. Of course, my beautiful lady, Lily Nightfall. Of course, Who Took My Dice? And, of course, our favorite Happy Freaking Friday X-Gear Commander. Say what?
I said X-Gear Commander. Yeah,
Oh.
I didn't know if you was going to miss him. So just making sure.
I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you. Have a good night, everyone. I got to go get some sleep. You have a good night, too, Gamers with Coffee. Definitely, like I said, I always enjoy hanging out with G. If you don't know who G the Hypersapien is, then, I mean, he's way bigger than I am, guys. You must have been missing him somewhere. Maybe you don't spend enough time on the interwebs. He's everywhere. He's under Funkin' Hungry. He's under G the Hypersapien. You can find both of his links down in our link tree, the Friends of the Frosted Fist below in the description. And definitely go check out both of his channels. Give him some subs and some loves, And if you guys like tonight's episode, please make sure that you grab up an ox and smash that like button in the name of the Emperor. Drop us some comments down below, especially if you're watching from the archives. Feel free to be part of any of tonight's ridiculous conversations. And if you are not yet subscribed to G, and if you're not subscribed to any of our friends of the Frosted Fist below, and certainly if you're not subscribed to this guy, we'd love to have you as part of the pack here on the Frosted Fist. So subscribe. Till next time, guys, stay frosty.
Stay frosty.